It's my favorite one. I like the rock one, but it's like a good positive vibe.
There we go. It took forever to go live on Instagram this morning. My goodness, my goodness. All right. Good morning, everybody. It is Social Surge with Fly and Mo. Welcome to the show. Like your hat.
Thank you.
I'm digging the hat.
I remember when I couldn't go to MassimoCon. Like for many reasons I couldn't go, but I had like the FOMO. I had the FOMAssimo, and then everybody on the team had their hats, and I was just like, I want one so bad. And
the FOMAssimo. That's freaking hilarious.
It's real. It's a real thing. But then and I already posted about it, but Rod sent me this a couple weeks back, and it's a nice hat. Nice hat.
Nice hat. Thank you, Regulata Real Estate, for joining us over on the gram. We got the gram fam joining in. Who else we got in here today? Let's see, go to comments. No comments yet, but want to thank everybody for joining us. We are continuing a conversation that we had from last week where we were talking about paid, owned, and earned media. So as a quick recap, right? As a quick recap, paid media is the stuff you pay for. We're talking ads, we're talking boosted posts, anywhere where you're getting people, where you're putting your content in front of somebody so that they can see you and you're paying for that. Owned media is the media that you own. Think your newsletters. Think about all the content that you're creating. Now, I would like to say that, yes, all the stuff that you put on social media, you actually own, but technically, there's a technicality. When you filled out the terms of service, when you said yes, you said yes to the toss, right? Technically, those social platforms own your
toss. Got a new shirt.
The toss. Check the toss. And then there's earned media. Earned media is where you show up in newspapers, in magazines, on radio, on TV, even reposts on social platforms. That is earned media, where you are showing up in front of the audience without your knowledge, without having to do it. I mean, obviously you want to know if you're going to be on TV. That's always a good thing.
You don't want to find out about that later.
Ain't nobody got time for that. Yeah. Anyway, so that's what we're talking about. And what we're actually getting into today is how traditionally it was paid, owned, earned. That's how you got attention. And now we're kind of flipping the script. And it's not, we are flipping the script. It is own, earned, and then paid. So after, we've explained that, what does it look like for, and if you have any questions, please drop them in the chat. We'd love to answer them. The old model that paid, owned, earn relied heavily on buying attention first, right? Think about TV ads. Think about, even if we were talking about, I would potentially say even, like mail, mailers and stuff like that. That is paid. That is paid media. It's fantastic. And paid media is great. It has a place. But as we know, it can be cost prohibitive, which is why social media and why social advertising has been such a disruptor. Because I look back at, pour one out, back in the day on Facebook, you could literally get conversions and leads for pennies on the dollar. It was amazing. That's why Facebook is as much as everybody dumps on Facebook, it is still cost per acquisition, cost per lead. However, whatever metric you're following for that is still probably the most cost-effective way to get in front of a targeted audience. If you've never been in Facebook's ad manager, which a lot of you have not, and that's fine.
It's dark in there.
We used to be able to do something. This is Facebook 2013, 2014. We used to be able to do something called dark posts, which is exactly what sponsored posts are now. They never show, it's the lore, the Facebook lore. they called them dark posts. And what it was is that you would create a post and then you would make it dark. So it wouldn't show up in your feed, like it wouldn't show up on your page feed, but it would get pushed out to other people. So that's what ended up becoming Business Manager. So that back end, I can't even remember what the name of it. It's going to drive me nuts. It used to have a different name. And that's where dark posts came in. And that is the whole basis of being able to create ads on Facebook to then push them out to an audience. And it didn't actually show up on your feed, because before everything showed up on your feed. So if you created something, it would show up there. Anyway, I digress. The amount, it's going to start tracking me. The amount of, I know, right? That's all I need. The amount of information that you can get from Facebook advertising and from the pixel is fascinating, because you are dialed into this huge network. Now, things have obviously changed. So I had a client who, African-American Christian yoga instructor. If there's lots of challenges with yoga and anyway, with the community and yada, yada, yada. That's not the point. The point is that her predominantly, there was a certain demographic that she wanted to advertise to. Well, and probably, I think it was 2019, Facebook took that demographic away. You couldn't advertise based on race anymore. So you had to figure out, then you had to go into Facebook advertising and figure out, okay, what's the commonality? What do all of these people, what do they watch? What are they reading? What are they interested in? Where are the places that they go? So then you started dialing down even more, which was good, right? But it did make it more of a challenge when it came to, like, if I only wanted, like, I had a Mexican hat shop, and yes, I'm Mexican, so I can say that. Don't come at me, yo. If I had like a Mexican hat shop that I only wanted like Mexicans to buy hats from, then I would be able to, like, at that time, be able to advertise strictly to that that demographic. Anyway, I've gone way off topic for what we're doing today, so I apologize. We're talking about paid, owned, earned, and how we're flipping the script. The real Rick Cologne joined us on the Gram. So hi, Gram fam. Thanks for joining us there.
Fam? No, but I think what you're trying to point to,
going off on a tangent.
What I'm pulling out of that as well is you have, like, if you're gonna go that route. What up, Marcy Money Penny? If you're gonna go that route of paid advertising and, like, go into those platforms and look at those tools and drop that cash, like, you do need to really know who you're trying to reach. You need to know the tool, and you need to know who you're trying to reach, and you have to have a really intimate, like, knowledge of those personas. I don't like all this, like, persona stuff. Like, but you need to know who you're trying to target, because if you start pumping money into the machine, it's just gonna go everywhere, and that you don't need money everywhere. You need money in the right spot.
Right. And you're going to complain. You're going to be one of those people that complain that, like, oh, the advertising doesn't work. Well, yes, it does, if you freaking knew what you were doing, but you just threw money at it, right? Like, you were just like, oh, whatever. We'll see what happens. And then you complain. One of my favorite things to do, and this is, hey, this is for all of you people out there that are listening. You can actually go into Facebook advertising if you wanted to. You can create your custom audience right there from the page. And what you end up doing is you pinpoint zip codes.
Mm-hmm.
So I did advertising for PAC for the local library district that I worked for. And we actually pinpointed zip codes of people that we knew were going to vote for a referendum that we had going, whatever. But by having that knowledge, I was able to go in there and target those areas, those communities, those little enclaves, and be like, hey, we have this coming up. We want you to vote. Obviously, please vote yes, blah, 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 blah.
Geofencing?
Basically, yeah, it's like geofencing. But so geofencing, and that's actually probably going to be a topic for another day. Because
keep going. Don't mind me.
Yeah. So, so the old model is paid, owned, earned. And now we're talking about the new model, which is owned, earned, paid. Owned, earned, paid. We're talking organic, organic social media. And that's something that Fly and I both specialize in, is we specialize in that organic, getting seen in front of people, putting your content out there and having it spread over a wider audience because of how you are interacting and engaging on social.
Yes.
So when we think about this, owned is, in putting it in simple terms, owned is building your house, right? It's building your content machine, whether that is white papers, whether that is newsletters, it is part of your website. It's all of that content and all of those words that you're putting out there, right? Earned media helps you amplify that message. And this is why building the house properly, that owned media, is so important. Because, for example, I was on an X Live or X Spaces last night, and really nice gentleman was asking me about marketing. And I didn't quite understand what he was getting at because he did not have his own house in order. And I mean that in that way. When you ask me what I do, I can tell you I do social media for busy commercial real estate professionals. Boom. That's it. Right? Obviously, I do a lot of other things, right? Because we're talking marketing, we're talking all these different things. When I asked him and flipped it on him and asked him, what do you do? He went on this long diatribe trying to explain what it is that his company does. That is an issue. If you, as the owner of your business, cannot explain what it is that you're doing, and this applies across everything. So my CRE brokers, my bankers, my analysts, whatever it is that you do, if you cannot clearly explain your value proposition so that a fifth grader could understand it, then there's issues. And I understand that you're super smart. I do. I get it. You're really smart. And so you went to school for it. I'm just great. Nobody understands you. And we talked about this before, right? Fly loves to talk about the synergies of synergizing. We're talking about LinkedIn.
I don't love to talk about that. I love to talk about the pain.
LinkedIn titles that just don't make any sense, right? I mean, they probably make sense, but if I'm trying within 7 seconds to figure out what you're doing and I can't do that, this is why you need to build your house, your owned media properly so that your messaging is going across platforms. And then, so we've talked about owned, earned, and then the next one is paid. This is how you boost what's already working. Now, Fly and I have already discussed this. You can go back to other episodes, but we'll bring you up to speed. One of the best things that you can do with your content, if you have a really good performing post, like really good, put some money behind it. Get it spread to a wider audience, right? And you don't have to put a lot of money behind it. LinkedIn, I think right now is trying to get people to boost their posts for like $25. You know,
a day?
Depending on, no, not a day, thankfully. I think it's actually like $5 a day, $5 or $10 a day.
Look at it.
Yeah, it's been a hot second since I've actually looked at that. Look at that Trep cup. What? Our buddies over at Trep. I'm so jelly.
Oh, I know. We gotta get you some.
Gotta get me some swag. Yeah. But when you own the media, when you not own the media, we know what happens there. Megalomaniacs. When you own your own media, then obviously you can.
I got it.
When you own your own media, then you know exactly what's happening with it and where it's going. And so this is what we wanted. So what does this look like for CRE? Like, what does this look like for CRE professionals? So you're going to build your foundation. How do you do that? Well, you're going to post consistently on whatever platform it is that you love, right? I'm sure Fly gets asked this. I get asked this a lot. What platform should I be on? What platform do you like actually using? If you don't like any platform, well, then I would say you need to be on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Just flat out. LinkedIn is where your audience is going to be. Now, it was interesting because Dwayne Burris was on, our buddy Dwayne was on last week, and he mentioned that Ryan Serhant from Serhant, his whole marketing strategy was to get a younger demographic to know him, so they would talk to the parents, right? I don't see anything wrong with that. You know, obviously it worked really, really well for him, but I'm always concerned about getting in front of the wrong target audience.
Yep.
Because, and it could just be a numbers game. Like, I don't know that side of their marketing program, but my concern is always like, you're putting out this great content, but is it hitting the right audience? Is it the people that are the eyeballs that you actually want on the content? Owned media also includes your email list. And again, this is something that Fly and I talk about a lot. Your money is in your emails. It's in your, your CRM. And if you're not controlling your CRM, if you happen to leave whatever brokerage that you're working for and they own, you're starting from scratch. So this is why it's important, where you need to have some place for people to download a white paper. They need to download an ebook, somewhere where they're getting into your CRM that you, what's the word? Owned. I wish I had like a little, like, yeah.
Like the rainbow, like a good sparkle, like neon.
Yes.
Well, yeah,
we're gonna figure that one out. But this is why it's important to have your own CRM, your own place to start gathering those emails, and the funnel is top of mind awareness through social media, right? You're creating that top of mind awareness. Then they're going to your website or landing page. That's the next place that they're checking you out, checking to see if your messaging is the same. And then the third is they're dropping into that CRM and you're getting that email. And then that's not where it stops. They do not stop in the CRM, hellhole. Okay. They actually have to be like emailed after that. You need to set up a drip campaign. So start building your foundation on social, start owning that media. And it's as simple as talking about, what's some of your favorite content, Fly, that you're seeing right now?
Oh, a lot of my favorite content right now is video. And video, and this goes back to my whole thing, right? Like, documenting what they're actually already doing. So, like, of course, we know and love Zach Molzer Development. He and his company just recently on Instagram, I think they're now up to 11,000 followers. They have been hammering on video content for the last 6 months. And honestly, like, Annie Bogart, I think is the name of their director of brand and content. She's great. And the videos that they were producing right out of the gate were as high quality as the videos that they're doing now. But they have 6 months, of looking back at the content that they were producing organically and to be like, okay, what's working? Let's double down. Like, let's keep going. Right. And they're also doing like an incredible documentation of the project. Right. And so they just recently, after, a lot of, putting time in the game, have had a few reels, high reach, high visibility, virality, right? And so they're really, really starting to take off. So it's another reminder of like time in the game, experimentation, like doubling down, but especially documentation, right? And so it's like, that's an interesting case study as well, because how many of those 11,000 people are even in Kansas City? How many of those 11,000 people are people who would invest with Molzer? There's questions around that. However, incredible social proof, because you have a community of people both in Kansas City and nationally who are invested in that story, who are invested in that property, specifically the Aladdin, and then now he's branching out into more properties, which is super exciting. But if you are somebody who is going to, think about investing or working with Molzer Development, and you go to that and you see how much positivity and support is rallied behind that, like, easy sell. 100% easy sell. Even if some of the most popular videos are like putting a little name label on a porta potty, like, you know, and Zach just being like a little bingo bongo, you know what I mean? It's like,
Yep.
but it's great. So like that, so that is a case study I'm following very closely. They're doing an incredible job on so many levels. The other thing, if you bring it back down, you know, obviously there's a lot of high investment and effort going into video production there. You look at Gaspis Guy, who is, you know, just like filming himself eating food outside of a gas station.
Yep.
Like, and not really doing any editing at all, just putting it out there, right? And so, but once again, the, you know, commonalities between them, video, distinct personalities. Like,
I have a funny story about that.
Please.
Well, when we were at the real estate gala,
yeah,
Corey Zelnick was standing with me. I introduced him to Gaspis Guy, Chris, which is funny because I was like, it's Gaspis Guy, right? Like, that's how I know you. And I was telling Corey about how he's eating at all of those gas stations. And Corey's like, oh, you're in New York. You have to go to this one location. And it was kind of like this funny, like, interaction where here's somebody who knows Gaspis Guy's content and tells another person, right? And, you know, I'm sure Corey follows him, but it's not like they're having this conversation. And it's like, oh, you know, what's a good place for him to go test out here? And he did. It was just, it's kind of one of those funny things, right? Where you follow, like, the content is just going to follow, and that starts a conversation, and then content's made, and I don't know. It was just funny. I laughed about it.
So I'm like talking about organic, talking about owned, talking about paid, all this stuff, right? I've said this before. If you are the thing that people want to watch, you will never have to pay for advertising. Like that. And that is why you see so many big brands, not just in this space, but like in all the spaces, right? Like Chick-fil-A, for example, has a whole like proprietary media production company. And so it's like they, you know, or if you look at, I don't know, you look at Super Bowl commercials, you look at how in the beginning of television, where there were like, you know, like beauty brands producing game shows, right? It's like, if you create content that is entertaining, that is engaging, that if people already want to look at that, you'll never have to pay somebody to look at you. And so, you know, and that you can look at that, and you can look at video content and entertaining content like that. But then you can also look at somebody like, I'm going to murder this name, Alexei Chernobylsky, I think.
Yeah, I know you're talking.
I get it, but it's like he, you know, he's not doing video content, but like he has incredible, you know, he has incredible content geared towards, I think, investors and LPs, and like people want to read his stuff.
Correct.
And so, you know, he doesn't. He's
because he got value, though, right? Like,
yes.
So let's look at it from two perspectives. So Please. If we look at Zach's videos, which are, like, for me, purely entertainment, yes, they provide information, but because of his energy and how young he is, I feel that there's a lot of things that Zach can get away with that maybe a 40 or 50-year-old broker could not, right? I mean, they potentially could, depending on like their personality, but we have the entertainment value, right? And then we have Alexei's education value. So, but both of them are bringing value to the audience in some way, and they're connecting in some way. If all you're doing is posting just listed or just sold, that's not providing. It's not. Didn't you do a post on this yesterday?
I did.
It is not providing any value, and it's just noise. Now, if on that just listed or just sold, you're telling a story as to how you got the listing or how you took the client from not being able to sell to selling, that is a different perspective. People want to know the behind the scenes stuff. We are nosy, and we want to know, how did you do this? How did you make it work? You know, it could be like, this asset sat this asset sat. Yes, it did. Yes, it did. This asset did sit. This asset sat for 3 years. It had 3 different brokers who tried to sell it. This is how we came in and got it done for the client in less time, yada, 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 right? People want to know that stuff.
But people don't want to follow you if you're just posting just listed, just sold.
Correct.
Right. And so that's what I mean. And so it's like giving them something that they can actually go, no, like that, like that's it. Right. And then also, once you have their captive attention, if you have a hard sell that you need to make, if you have a strong CTA that you need to do to like ask people to buy your stuff, bring you a deal, whatever that is, like you already have that captive audience.
Correct.
Like if any one of these guys or gals or peeps, what was going on? Alexi's face is over here right now. So I was just thinking that like, if they ever have to make a hard ask, people are already looking there and people already want to work with them because they've gotten to know them through their content, right? These like, it's not like the relationships that we build with people online, even if we've never met, the parasocial relationship, like it's so interesting and so powerful. And so if you establish in your owned media a presence and a personality, you start building relationships and you start building trust that you don't have to pay for. When you then go to your audience and say, hey, I need something from you, it's easier sell. And what you've already said, you've already put in the effort to see what content is already hitting with people. And then if you want to get more visibility, boost your post.
Right. Absolutely. If you have content that has reached a lot of people, gotten a lot of traction and engagement, amplify it, boost that post, or create a campaign around it so it pushes it out to a wider audience, because you know that that's your target audience that you want to attract. That being said, if you do an influencer marketing campaign and you get a bunch of 13 and 14-year-olds who are liking your content, that's not exactly your target audience. That's not who you want to see your content. They don't, traditionally speaking, they don't have the money. Yes, their parents might, but they don't. And what's the probability of them having a conversation about that? Maybe it'll happen 6 months down the road, but that's not what you need right now. So you have to be very clear about who your target audience is when you are doing paid media and what you want the outcome to be, right? So bottom line, right? Start with your own content. You got to own it. Whether that's your newsletters, your websites, it's the content that you're creating for social. You're going to earn the attention through value. Remember that reposts are also a way of getting earned media. And then only pay, right, when you've proven that it's a good piece of content to amplify for your audience. You're going to get more inbound leads. You're going to create better relationships, especially when you're creating content with value. And your brand is going to be absolutely stronger because of it. So we've talked about paid, owned, earned, and how we're flipping that to owned, earned, paid. Keep that in mind as you're creating content. The content that you own, how are you going to earn that value and that attention, right? And then what are you going to do once you have it? How are you going to amplify it? That should all these questions. You'd be talking to your marketing director, your social media person, be like, I listened to these 2 crazy chicks and they had some information and I want to know more about it. And of course, if you want to, not that you talk to your people that way, right? It's like when my son, side note, when my son's like, when he's pretending to talk like me.
Oh no.
I'm like, really? That's how I sound to you? That's awesome.
That's dangerous.
Yeah.
I would be
He's also like 6'1", and I tell him I'm going to climb him like a howler monkey if he makes me mad. So, and for context, I'm 5'2". So
I might need like Keeping Up with the Kardashians, except it's like something with the Regalatos. I gotta think about that.
He's actually, so on another side note before we end, he graduates on Monday. He's a senior in high school. So he's graduating and he's actually interning with a friend of ours, Justin Fulkins, here in town.
Oh, nice.
Yes. So he's going to be interning with him, learning about commercial real estate. So they're actually both really excited about it. Gabriel is a natural, just like his mama. He's a natural talker. So he's the kid that like the telemarketers call him and then he pisses them off because he keeps them on the phone for half an hour because
No, I love it.
He's just talking. He'll pick up the phone and be like, yeah, what's going on? What can I do for you, brother? Is everything good?
Does he want to be a broker?
He's exploring. Like, I mean, he's freaking 18. Like, do any of us really know what the hell we want to do at 18? So he's exploring. Yeah, and I like it. We've talked to him about commercial real estate, and it piqued his interest. And then he had an interview with Justin and they sat and chit chatted. And one of the things, like I said, one of the things I think Gabriel has as a leg up is the fact that he is not afraid to talk to people. He's not afraid to pick up the phone and make calls. And he's willing to learn, right? Like you don't know what you don't know. So it's always good. I'm excited for him.
I love that. We'll be watching closely.
Hey, imagine he probably knows somebody who can help him out with his social media.
No family discounts.
No family discount. There's no discounts. All right, everybody. We'll see you back here on Thursday. And Thursday, we're actually going to be talking about more paid media. We're talking about magazines, radio. Fly was like, we are.
No, I remembered, but I didn't remember. Go on.
We're going to be talking about paid media. So it's going to be your magazines, your TV, your radio, anything where you can get into the audience and why I think it's actually an underutilized medium for a lot of CRE brokers. We'll see you back here on Thursday at 6 a.m. Pacific and 8 a.m. Central and 9 a.m. Eastern. I had to think about that one. We'll see you guys. Bye.